and it needs to be brought to life. And linked up with the right people, they made it happen.
So let me ask you a question before we get into the nitty gritty on all this. So how has this movie changed your life?
Financially or mentally?
Well, let's. I love money, so. But let's not talk about money because everyone knows that you probably did pretty good on that. Mm-hmm. Let's just talk about you in general.
Me in general, one thing I can't say, I was like a kid in a candy shop filming every day. Only because, like I said, once again, I was already a lifelong Tupac fan. So I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay.
But we moved
Vietnam.
my mom. Yeah, Vietnam in the building. So my mom got remarried years back, and we were kids, and her husband got a job out west.
Okay.
So then we ended up moving out west, for like 5-6 years, I think it was. And out west at that time, it was different. It's still kind of the same way now, but it was way more, solidified back then. Like you only heard West Coast stuff.
Okay.
Like to the point, like I moved back toward the end of Biggie's run, and I remember when I got back to the East Coast, and I was like, I'm in school, and it's like I committed a mortal sin asking. I heard they kept saying something about Biggie Smalls, and I was like, what in the world is a Biggie Smalls? I'd never heard of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like a knockoff shoe brand.
Right.
I get you.
And I mean, everyone lost their minds. Like, you don't know who Biggie Smalls is? Because on the East Coast, he was popping. Yeah. You know what I mean? But on the West Coast, we didn't hear what East Coast artists like that, especially at that time. So there were a lot of artists I got introduced to once I came back to the East Coast who were huge on the East Coast that I was like, I've never heard of this person. Yeah. But I was also a kid, too, so it's not like I was out there buying CDs and that involved. But anyway, so I always had a love for West Coast music, and as well as East Coast music, but Tupac was always my favorite, even from a kid. And so I listened to his music, all through growing up, and then being an adult, I still listen to him to this day. And so for me to be involved with that, it made me feel like I was one of my favorite artists of all time and such a special artist, and I get to feel like I'm just a little tiny part of his legacy now. Yeah. So that was really impactful for me and how it really kind of changed for me, because no matter what, I'll always have that, Yeah. And so, and then helping bring this man's life to the screen and, again, being one of those fans who was like, where's the Tupac biopic, to then not only get it, but then be in it. You know what I mean? Like, you know how crazy and insane that is?
Dude, it's like a dream.
Right. Like, who's your favorite artist, like, of all time that you couldn't go without if you had to get rid of them?
I've been on a really big George Harrison kick lately. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the original Beatles. But his best... So, Paul and John did all the writing initially. Mm-hmm. George just wasn't good enough. But George got good by hanging around those guys. And then once the Beatles separated, George was the one still putting out music.
Okay, so imagine if you got the opportunity to be one of the lead actors in a George Harrison movie.
Yeah, it'd be dope as shit.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so that's what it was for me, it was special. Beyond money, beyond fame, like, while I was doing it, I wasn't thinking about, how famous I'm going to be. I probably should have been thinking about, like, the impact.
I would have.
Well, it was so hard to really know. Yeah. And a lot of times, because it's scary. That's the other thing, too, about doing this movie. It was like, Tupac fans are different, man. And it's such a huge, iconic person. He's legendary. You don't get a lot of leeway. You know what I mean? You don't get a lot of leeway to
do it right.
Mess anything up. Right. And so, that's the part. It was a lot of pressure, to get this right. And that was the attitude I came in with it on, was like, I'm going to be one of the ones who, what I bring to this will help it. Yeah. I'm not going to be involved with who, being one of the ones that hurt it. Yeah. If there was going to be anybody that hurt it, I was not going to be in that list. Because I already know, the backlash was going to be insane if you messed up anything.
But you should, baby. You got this.